What's going on, guys? This is Chandler Smith, and today I'm going to show you everything that you need to know to be able to close on for sale by owner properties without the help of a realtor. So I'm going to show you how to go through the paperwork, how to protect yourself so that you don't get taken advantage of by the seller. And I'm hoping that with this video, you gain the confidence to be able to go in and close on some huge for sale by owner deals without losing that extra 6% to a realtor. But before I jump into it, the only thing that I ask is that you push that like button and the notification bell. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel because this video is gonna help you a ton to close some for sale by owner deals. But I'm also gonna give you a ton of other advice with purchasing that first home or getting into that investment property or buying that bigger investment property. And it will really help the algorithm for this video to get out and help you in the future if you push that like button and make sure that you subscribe to the channel. Now, in the last 7 years, I've had the opportunity to close on 15 different real estate transactions. And of those 15 transactions, 6 of them were actually for sale by owner properties. And so I've had the chance to go through this paperwork a bunch. I've also had the opportunity to make a lot of mistakes along the way. And so in this video, I wanna show you everything I did wrong and all the things that you can make sure that you do right so that you set yourself up with an incredible deal. But I wanna make sure that you know, even with all of my mistakes, I have loved every single for sale by owner transaction because there are so many different advantages that you get out of not using a realtor. Now, that doesn't mean you should never use a realtor. They're still awesome in a lot of different situations. However, if you want to be able to close confidently on a deal that pops up that's for sale by owner, you've got to know how to go through the process. And so in this video, I'm going to show you everything that you need to know. So my first deal is probably my favorite because it's what gave me the courage to go through with a for sale by owner deal so that all of the other ones came pretty easy to me. And this first deal worked out perfect because we actually had a common connection with the person that was selling it. And if you want to learn more about that deal, I did a video about it a while back about how to buy a condo. You can get all of the details, but essentially with this deal, I met with a guy that we already had that common connection. We showed up, he had the paperwork all done. I signed, handed him my check, and we were good to go. Now, looking back, it was insane that I didn't look through things as much as I should have. And at the time, I thought I had done my due diligence. I thought I knew what I was doing, but there are so many things I was completely clueless on. However, I was working with someone that was very honest and upfront, and the deal went perfect. And this gave me the confidence to push into other deals with people that I didn't know or didn't have that connection with. And I'm so grateful that it did because I've learned a lot in the process, but it's helped me to acquire some incredible deals. Before we jump into that, I wanna talk about all of the reasons that doing for sale by owner deals are so valuable. The first one being that when you cut out a realtor, you're saving 6% in fees. Now, what this does is it gives you the opportunity to knock the price way down in negotiation because you can say, look, if we're not getting realtors involved, that's an extra 6% you would have to spend otherwise that you're not gonna have to spend any of it. So that's the first thing, gives you the opportunity to save a ton of money without paying a realtor. The next reason these deals are so awesome is you get a personal interaction with the seller. The whole point of realtors is they want to keep both parties not emotional about the purchase or the sale. Where if you connect with someone, you have the opportunity to use that connection, to use that interaction to work your price even lower, which can be a huge advantage when finding their bottom line price so that you can set yourself up with an even better deal. The next reason is it's a relationship-based interaction, which means when they hand over the property, with them knowing you and having interacted with you, the odds of them leaving the property in better shape are extremely good because they don't want to mess up that relationship. They've connected with you, and so they're gonna want to give you a good product when they hand over the property. The other reason these are huge deals is you've got a straight communication. So nothing gets lost between them, their realtor, your realtor, you, and that back and forth. You can have quick interactions, you can get to the point, and you're not gonna lose anything in the process. Realtors are great and they can bring huge value. However, that 6% can go a long way, especially if you're trying to get into that first home or that first investment property. That's a ton of money that you can play with that's gonna help make sure your numbers look good and you're getting into an incredible deal for yourself. Those are all of the reasons that I love for sell by owner deals. And now I'm gonna talk about everything you need to know to make sure that you do the transaction properly. And to do this, I've broken it down into 5 main steps. The first step is make sure that you get a good relationship with a good title company. And a lot of times I suggest doing this before you even find that first for sale by owner property that you're wanting to buy. And the reason for this is if you've got a good relationship with them, first of all, they're gonna be able to help you work through the paperwork and so that you don't mess anything up. But they're also gonna be the ones that make sure that the title is clean on this property, and they're gonna help you make sure that with any payoff that the seller has or anything else with your loan, they make sure it's a very smooth transition and you're getting a good product. On top of that, having that relationship is something that you can use with the seller and say, look, I've got a great relationship with this title company. They make things super easy, and I can promise you they're gonna come in great on the fees and also give us both an awesome experience. The second step is you need to make sure that you have a pre-approval letter or proof of funds, or preferably both, so that you can go when you're negotiating and say, look, I've got this pre-approval letter and proof of funds, I'm ready to rock and roll. Because if you've got the relationship with the title company and proof of funds and the loan is ready to rock and roll, that's gonna gain a ton of confidence in the seller. The other thing is if you've got that pre-approval letter and that relationship with your loan officer, you should also know exactly how many days it takes you to close. And the less days, the better. I have a loan officer that I've consistently used for all of my properties. And so he's gotten to the point where with my loans, he can literally close in under 10 days. And so when I'm negotiating with someone that's doing a for sale by owner, and I can say, look, I can also close in under 10 days. I've done 15 different loans. I can promise you it'll be a super smooth transaction, and my word is good on this. That's gonna add so much more value before you get to the point where you're negotiating price, so that they know it's okay to negotiate because this deal is gonna get done. The third step is make sure that you're prepared to negotiate with confidence. So you're willing to use that pre-approval letter. You're willing to use the relationship with the title company. You're willing to use the fast close. And once you can use all of those things, you're then gonna try and create a connection with them. Try and find some common ground. Tell them what you wanna do with the property, how much you love it, how much you love how it looks, how much you love what they've done with it, and make sure that you get a strong connection with them. Once you've got that strong connection, then you can move in to talking price. Now, I've had the opportunity to knock thousands of doors to sell people pest control. And this is a 5 to 10 minute interaction where they go from not knowing me to handing me their credit card. And the only reason I share this is it's given me a skill set to know how to make a good first impression, to connect with someone, to kind of build that value in our relationship. And that's why after all of those experiences, I believe using all of these things I've talked about to build the relationship and build the trust are huge. Once you've built that relationship, then you can transition into talking about price. If you're interested in learning more about that training and how I acquired that skill set, you can click the link down in the description to learn more about that job. Now, moving on, once you've built up that value, once you've got that connection, once they like you, once you've built up their property, you've proven to them that you are a good buyer, someone they can count on if you can get to an agreed to price. You better know what your price is, and then it's time to negotiate. And here is how I go about negotiating. Once I've built myself up, I've built them up, I have that connection, I'm immediately going to come in with an offer that I think is a good price. Now they've got it listed, but I'm not going to say, hey, like, do you think you'd be willing to lower the price? Where do you think you could come in at? I'm gonna say, look, for what I wanna do with the property, I absolutely love it. However, these are the reasons that I feel like I've gotta get it at this price. Because unfortunately, I'm gonna have to do X, Y, and Z. Now you're going to kindly devalue what they have. And you should know where the line is. With some people, you might not have a lot of wiggle room. With others, you can, because they will have pointed it out, or it will be very obvious that there are certain fixes or things that need to happen in the property. And so you can kindly devalue their property, point out some of the things, not that are terrible, but are just things that you're gonna need to invest in, and say, honestly, I love the property, I really wanna make this work, and I know I can. However, I think I'm going to need to be able to pick the property up at this price. That price, I'm usually going to go $5,000 to $10,000 below what I'm willing to pay on it. And the reason for this is I want to anchor low. They've listed it, but instead of asking, hey, can you knock some off? I'm gonna anchor low where I wanna be, because then in their mind, they haven't been able to say, oh no, I don't wanna budge on it, or oh, I might have a couple thousand. They instantly think, wow, maybe my property is valued down here. Now, once you started the negotiation there, you can say, but honestly, I don't want to take advantage of you. I really want to do business with you. You're awesome. I want to make sure it's fair. However, I just feel like that's probably where I need to be to make this worthwhile. What are you thinking? And then you can hear where they're coming in at. Now, a lot of times people will say the first person that talks always loses. I don't believe that is the situation with this kind of negotiation, because I want to anchor low before they can anchor high, so that then you can start the back and forth. You can learn more negotiation tactics from my other videos, and if you want to come and be a summer salesman for the summer, make a ton of money, experience that, again, you can click the link in the description. But I'm going to move on from the negotiation, and at this point we're going to say you've got the price where you need to be and they're ready to close, and now we're going to talk about the remaining steps so that you can close properly. Now, the fourth step is understanding and filling out the paperwork properly. And when you go into the title company to have them give you that paperwork that you're gonna fill out, you're going to be floored by how simple it is. There's really not a whole lot to it. And they're all the same, regardless of which title company you go to. First off, you're gonna fill out the purchase price, the dates, the names, the property address, making sure all of that is filled out properly. And you can ask the title company, and they can't fill it out for you, but they can say, oh, this goes here, this goes there. The next thing is you wanna make sure that you set it up so that you will not purchase the property unless you've had an inspection approved by you. The other section that's tied to this is the earnest money. So make sure that you've got a long enough time period to do your inspection, and make sure that you write, and usually there's an addendum. In that addendum, make sure that you write that the buyer gets all of their earnest money back if they don't approve of the inspection that they get. Because then you have this option to bail on the agreement at any time, just if you're not satisfied with the inspection. Not if the inspector is satisfied with the inspection, but if you're not satisfied. So make sure that you write that down in the addendum. The next big thing you've got to make sure you fill out properly is where closing costs are going. And sometimes this will be in there, sometimes it won't. If it's not, you want to make sure you write that in the addendum and make sure that that's part of your negotiation. Usually once I've negotiated and I'm here and they're here and we finally come to a meet halfway point, I'm going to say, look, that's okay, I'll let you have it. However, I only want to do that if you're willing to cover all of my closing costs. Now, the reason this is awesome is a lot of times people don't know how much closing costs actually are, and they can be as much as 2 to 2.5% if you're getting it on a loan. Now, if you're doing a cash deal, they're substantially less, but you want to make sure you push to get them to cover closing costs, or at minimum, make sure you put in there that you're splitting the closing costs 50-50. The last thing you want to make sure is in the agreement is everything that's included in the purchase. A lot of times they'll have a washer and dryer, they'll have a dishwasher, they'll have an oven, they'll have a fridge, they'll have furniture, they'll have all these different things. And I'm not saying all of those things need to go with the purchase, but I am saying if you want them to be there, they're another great place to negotiate. So if they've got those things and you want them to stay in the property, push for those in the negotiation and make sure that that is written down in the addendum or in the area that you can put everything that should come with the property. And what I've learned from for sale by owner deals that I've done is you can never write too much. As a matter of fact, this last year, I did a for sale by owner deal on a huge property, and literally our addendum was an entire page worth of stuff that I wanted to make sure was included in the purchase. So there's nothing wrong with being over the top, especially if they've agreed to it, and making sure all of those things are added to the addendum or the area where you're able to include what comes with the property. Now, if you've got all of those things, and I'm gonna read the list to make sure we got them all, but if you've got your purchase price, your closing date, your inspection time frame, your earnest money, exactly, and again, on the earnest money, keep it as low as you can and make sure it's dependent on an inspection that you're happy with. As long as you've got everything that you want included in the purchase listed, you can go over the top if you want. And as long as you've got closing costs set up the way that you want them, preferably with the seller paying for them, if all of those things are in there, you are set and you don't have anything to worry about. The other thing I wanna make sure I emphasize is if you put the purchase dependent on an inspection that you were pleased with, at any time in the deal, you can bail. And that gives you this huge safety net so that if crap ever hits the fan, you've got an exit strategy. And the other thing you've got to do to make sure this exit strategy works is make sure that your earnest money doesn't stay with the seller. Make sure it stays with the title company and you're clear in the addendum so that if the deal does go bottoms up, it's gonna be very easy to get back your earnest money. I always hear of people losing their earnest money, and that is insanity to me because you should protect yourself so that there is no way that if you bail on the deal, you're going to lose your earnest money. Finally, my fifth step is deliver on the commitments that you make. Once you've got the paperwork set up, once you've promised to go through with the deal, you've got to become someone that if you say your word is good and you're going to close on a property, that you do. So if you're going to go into a negotiation, you're going to promise all these things, come through with it, because I promise you, if you don't, you're going to gain a reputation. And even if that reputation doesn't follow you, I promise it's going to mess with your psyche in closing with that next deal. So be a man of your word. Once you say you're going to close, once you get the terms worked out where you need them to be, then go through and go through properly. Be a buyer that a seller loves to work with because you form that good relationship, you got the deal you want, and then you come through with those commitments. I hope you have a ton of success in closing on all of the for sale by owner deals that are gonna come your way. And if you enjoyed the video, please push the like button and subscribe to the channel, because my goal is to help you to create a huge passive income for yourself. Thanks so much, guys, and have a great day.